Is the right to vote necessary for liberty? That is the question we are going to explore today. Welcome back to Liberty's Hill, where we explore the question, how can we create a world of human flourishing with liberty, justice, dignity, and prosperity? I am Dr. Bill Brannan, a pastor at Life Springs Church in Liberty Hill, Texas. There seems to be an idea today that the right to vote is an essential characteristic of liberty rather than a means for creating a healthy, flourishing, well-ordered society. What has happened is that we have mistaken the means for the end. What is the purpose of voting? Is it not to put the most moral and capable people into office to serve the good of citizens and protect their rights? If what we are doing is failing to accomplish that end, then we have a very serious problem. I believe that is where we are at, and if we do not fix this problem, we will decline as a society. I think the first step in fixing the problem is to acknowledge the goal of voting is to put the most moral and capable leaders in office, and the next step is to have honest conversations on what is preventing the best leaders from gaining office and how we can change our systems to ensure the best leaders are elected. One of the first issues that we have today is that elections are expensive, and politicians rely on wealthy donors with special interests to get elected, and then must keep them happy to secure funds to win future elections. This puts them in the service of special interests rather than the good of citizens, and is proof that they are the wrong leaders. Next, we have a population that has not been educated in the values that are fundamental to liberty and human flourishing, so they do not have a framework to elect candidates that will be good leaders. Without an educated voting public, politicians promote policies that serve the special interests of constituencies that have the voting power to elect them. In the absence of an educated voting public, the default criteria again are special interests. People want what will directly and immediately benefit them without understanding how that will affect the economy and society at large. The willingness to do this to get elected is proof that a candidate is not fit to lead. Due to the failure of religion and education, we now live in a culture where image is almost everything and decisions are made by feelings rather than by reason. Voting constituencies can be created by manipulation, often using fear tactics, anger, and resentment. When candidates participate in this, it is proof of their lack of morality and skill required to serve liberty and human flourishing. The problem is that most people think that, in light of such issues, it is impossible for good people to get elected without compromising with values and tactics that are the antithesis of liberty and human flourishing. Yet people are creative and can find a way to get elected without compromising. That is why we sometimes do elect decent leaders, but often they are unable to make systemic changes. There are not enough of them in office, and they are not supported by the public. Just imagine what would happen if one of them proposed a bill that stated that any elected official who votes for a bill they haven't fully read or understood will immediately be removed from office. In my mind, a failure to read a bill they are voting for is a moral failure, and the inability to educate themselves on the ramifications of the bill is a lack of skill. I realize that there would be no way to actually enforce such a law, but I mention it for the obvious systemic problem we have in Congress today. I will never forget the famous words of Nancy Pelosi, "We have to pass it to find out what is in it." No matter how you understand what she said, it is not good. And it was stated as a matter of fact. The type of leaders we need would be able to see the obvious threat to liberty and human flourishing in such systems and would not be silent until the system changes. They would be like John Quincy Adams fighting against slavery. They would not be silent while the principles of liberty are transgressed and the future of our children are sold to special interests. We need to get people talking about solutions. What if people need a license to vote that educates them in the principles of liberty and human flourishing, like they need a license to drive? I actually think that is a bad idea, but it highlights the type of discussions we need to be having. The point is we need to make it a priority to figure out how to elect the most moral and capable leaders. I know there is a lot of talk about term limits. In my mind, that does not address the issue of electing the most moral and skilled leaders or breaking the influence of special interests. Also, if we have moral and skilled leaders, I'm not sure it would be healthy to limit their term of office. The problem is with the voting public and not the elected officials. We need to put good leaders in office. Term limits ultimately limit the citizens' ability to make sure the best leaders are in office if the best leaders have already fulfilled their term limits. I think the real solution lies with the education and morality of the citizens who will elect good leaders and hold them accountable to the principles of liberty and human flourishing. America's founding fathers understood that our form of government is only suitable for a moral and religious people, and therefore immediately began building schools after America's founding. My personal conviction is that politics is downstream from culture, and that the way to get better leaders is to grow better citizens through religion, the arts, and education. That is what Liberty's Hill is all about. The goal is to wrestle with the principles of liberty in the section Out of Many One, and to develop the type of religion that once was the support and driving force of liberty and human flourishing in America. Going back to the question of whether the right to vote is necessary for liberty, I think all citizens having the right to vote is important, but it comes with a responsibility to educate and develop virtue in the voting public. Also, it is extremely important to recognize that voting is only a means whose goal is to elect the most moral and capable leaders. We need to figure out how to make that happen. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and please subscribe to my channel.